Today's video, I'll be taking you through the top 15 must-know Linux commands for Ubuntu. These commands will enable you to navigate your Ubuntu PC or server using the command line interface. So let's get started. So to begin with, we will be using the Ubuntu virtual machine that we set up in a previous video. This is running Ubuntu Server 18.04.1 LTS. If you're interested in the setup for this, I'll leave the link in the description to that video. We will also be SSHing into the server. This is using the SSH we set up in another video. If you're interested in that, I'll also leave a link in the description below. So once we are logged into the server, we will start with the first command on our list, which is the change directory command. This command you will use to navigate between directories. So it's simply cd and then a space and then the directory you want to navigate to. So you also can use a couple of variables. So if you use space ... this will move back a directory. If you use space /, this will take you all the way to the root directory, so where you'll be on the root. So if we wanted to go into the home directory, we see there the home one just above here. We will go space home, and I'm using tab. If you're busy typing something and there's only one option for it or a few, you can use tab. If there's multiple options for it, then let's say like lib and lib64, use L, and if you double tap, it'll show you the options. You can enter another variable and it will complete it for you. So we will go to home. Since there's only one with a H, it will complete it for us. We change the directory into the home directory. Now there's another command that we'll be using, which is the second command, which is the ls command, which is the list directory contents command. So if we go ls and we hit enter, you'll see that it comes up saying that the only contents in this directory is the Shane folder, Shane directory. So if we use the change directory again and we go into Shane and enter and we use ls again, we'll see that the current home directory for my user is empty. So another switch for this command or a variable that you can use is, well, there's many, but the one that I use often is ls space -l, which will show you permissions and ownership of files and folders. So if we just go back to the root and we use ls space -l, it will show us all of them. It will show us the current permissions assigned to it, who the owner is, what group the owner is, and so on. So if we go back to home Shane, the third command that I want to show you is called the man command, which is the manual. So it's the systems manual page. So what this does is it brings up the manual for any command that you would like. So let's use the list command, for instance. So if we type man space ls, it will bring up a manual, and you can use your arrow buttons and you can view all the options regarding that command, all the variables. Sometimes it'll have an example or two of how to use it. And then when you're done, just press Q to exit out of it. There's also a second option for this. You can also type the command and add a -- help afterwards. And this will just print the manual to your screen. I prefer using the man command because then it doesn't print everything to your screen. You can just view it, quit, and go on with what you were doing. So after that, now that we are in, we're going to navigate again using the CD. We're going to go to home, Shane. There's nothing in here. The fourth command that we'll be using today is the make directory command. So this is the command you'll use to create new directories. So the command is mkdir space and the name of the directory you want to create. So we're going to create a directory called test. And you hit enter. We'll use that list command again, and we'll see that now inside of the Shane directory we have a folder called, or a directory called test. So if we navigate into this test directory, we see that it is empty. The next command, the fifth one we'll be looking at today, is the touch command. This is the command you'll use to create new files. So let's say you needed to create a new text document. You can simply use the touch command space and the name of the directory you want to create. So, sorry, the name of the file you would like to create. So we'll call this text. We'll hit enter. If we use the list command again, you'll see that there's now a file called text. So the sixth command is going to be to edit text files. So there's many text editors. The easiest one that I recommend you start with is Nano. So we can use nano space and the name of the file we would like to edit. So text, and we hit enter. You'll see that we now have our text editor open. You can now type what you need to, and when you are done, you use Control and then the letter or sign special character that you need to complete your editing. So we want to just save this and exit. So we will use Control and O to write out this file. So we want to keep the same name, so we will hit enter, and then to exit we will use Control and X to exit. Now that you've edited your text document, let's say you want to just preview it. You don't want to edit it, you just want to view it. There's a couple of commands. The two most common ones are cat or less. So if you cat a file, let's say text, it prints the contents of that file to your screen. I don't really like this. I prefer opening it in a dedicated previewer. So that's what the less command is for. So we'll use the less command and we will less the text file. This will actually open it up for us and show us the contents. You can just press Q to quit out. The 8th command that we will be going over is the move command. So the move command is used to rename or move files and directories. So now that we're in the test directory, we have a file called text. Let's say we needed to rename it. So we will use the move command, which is mv space, the name of the file, and now we're going to move it to the same directory essentially overwriting it with a new name. So we'll use mv space text space and the new name we want to give it. So we'll give it test1. We'll hit enter and you'll see that the file has now been renamed. We can less the file and you will see that it is still the same file, has the same contents, has simply been renamed. You can also use this to move files. So if we use the cd command and we use ... to go back one directory and we are now in the user directory, let's use the make directory command to create a new directory. So we'll create one called test2. So we have now test and test2, and our text document is inside of test, so we'll change directory to test, and we're going to move this file to the test2 directory. So we'll say move test1 to home Shane test2. If we do a list command, we'll see that the file is now gone. And if we change directory and we go back one, and we list, and we change directory again, we go to test2, and we list, you'll see that the file has now been moved from the test directory to the test2 directory. What if you just want to copy it? That's the 9th command we'll be going on, is to copy. So let's say we only wanted to copy it. We wanted to have a copy of that file in both the test and the test2 directory. Then we can use the copy command, which is cp space, the file you want to copy, so the name of it, and then it's the location of where you want to copy it to. So we're copying it to home, my user directory, and test. We'll hit enter. We will see that we still have our one here in the test2 folder, but if we use the cd space ... go back one, and we change directory into the test folder, we'll see that we now have a copy here as well. And if we less it, you'll see that it's still the same file. So now the 10th command we'll be going on to is the chmod, which is the change mode bits, which is essentially changing permissions of a file or a directory. So we are now inside of the test folder. Let's say we need to change the permissions for the test1. So if we use the ls space -l, it will show us the current permissions for this file. So we see that for the owner, so the first group of 3 is the owner, the second group is the group, and the third is other. So we see for the owner has read and write, the group has read and write, others have only read. Let's say we needed to give the owner read, write, and execute, the user group read, write, and execute, and we only want to give the others still only read. We would use the chmod test1, so the chmod space, the name of the document. Oh, sorry, first the variable. So chmod. So for this you have 3 mode bits. You have your first one, which is your user, second one, which is your group, and third, which is your other. So these are used in numbers from 0 to 7. So you have 0, which is no permission, 1, which is execute, 2, which is write, 3 will be write. The three main ones is, the four main ones, sorry, is 0, which is no permission, 1, which is execute, 2, which is write, and 4, which is read. And you can make up your own custom permissions using these. So if we wanted to, for instance, have the user write and execute only, we would take write, which is 2, and execute, which is 1, and put them together, which gives us 3, and it would use 3. If we wanted the user to read, write, and execute, then we would take execute, which is 1, write, which is 2, and read, which is 4, add those together, that gives you 7, and so on. So you can use just to remember that execute is 1, write is 2, and read is 4, and then obviously 0 is no permissions, and you can use those by adding the numbers together to give you the desired permission level. So if in this situation you want to give the owner read, write, and execute, the group read, write, and execute, and we want to give the others read only, which will be 4. And then space, the name of the directory, and we'll hit enter. And if we do a ls space -l now, we will see that it has changed. It is, the first group is read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read only. So this will allow the owner, which is me, to read, write, and execute, the group, which I'm in, to read, write, and execute, and anyone else to only read the document. We also see that if we do the ls -l command, we see that the user, the owner is myself, and the group is myself as well, the group owner. We can also change this using the chown command. So you use chown, which is change ownership. So you will change ownership, and then you will have the user that you want to change the ownership to. And then you can also, if you want to change the group, you will use a colon and then the group. So if we wanted to change this test1 folder, so now it wasn't my folder and I wanted to change it to be that my user was the owner, I'd use a chown, use my user and the test1 and hit enter. But obviously I'm already the owner as I created this document. If you are not the owner and you want to do this, you'll probably have to use the sudo command, which is the super user do, before running it, and then it'll prompt you for the administrative password if you're not an administrator on the system. So the 12th command that we'll be going over is the rm command, which is the remove command, essentially the delete command. So if we're in a directory, we're in the test directory and we have our test1 file. Let's say we needed to delete it. We would use the remove command, which is rm space and the file name. As simple as that. You hit enter. We'll see now that file is gone. If you need to delete a directory, slightly different. So let's go back one. So let's go back. We will see that we have our test and we have our test2 directories. Let's say we needed to delete the entire test2 directory and all of its contents. We would use the rm space -r, which is recursive. So it will delete the directory and everything inside of it. Space test2, enter, and you'll list it again, and we'll see now that that directory has been deleted. Obviously be very careful. Once you've deleted it, getting it back is near impossible, and if you can, it's going to be a hell of a mission. The next command, the 13th one that we'll be going on, is the execute command. If you have an executable file, like a .run file or a script that you need to execute, you'll simply use // and the file you need to execute's name. So if we change directory to the test folder, we'll see that we have nothing in here. So if we create a file called test1, and there it is, and we give it the execute bit, so we need to make it executable. So we use the chmod 774 test1, and review, and you see it's gone green, meaning it's executable. We can use the // so sorry about that, // test1. It's obviously not going to do anything, as there's nothing really, it's not a script, it's not an executable file. We just made it executable, so it's attempting to execute a text document which won't do anything. But if you had a .run file or .sh file, a script, an executable file, you would just use dot / the file name, no space, and enter. The 15th command, I skipped one there. The sudo was one of them. The 15th command and the final command is shutting down your server. So there's multiple ways of shutting it down. You can use an init command, and you have multiple variables for this. You have init 0, which will be a shutdown. You have init 6, which will be a restart. A more simple one to use, and that's a bit more foolproof, is simply just typing, to shut down a server though, you have to be either logged in as root, or you will have to run sudo shutdown, and then you have capital P to shut down, or capital R to restart. This will schedule a restart or a shutdown for a minute in advance. So that gives you a chance to run the shutdown -C to cancel it if it was an accident. So -P, capital P is to shut down, capital R is to restart, capital C would be to cancel, because the capital P and R schedules a restart or a shutdown in a minute's time. So it gives you a chance to cancel it. If you want to shut down immediately and you're 100% sure, you can type sudo shutdown now, and that'll shut down the server immediately. So if we hit that, it'll ask for the password, I'll enter the password, and I'll be disconnected immediately. And if we check the virtual machine, it's been powered off. And that's it. That is the top 15 commands that I feel that you need to know to start your basic Linux navigation and basic administration. There's obviously a ton more commands,